This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, first I would like to introduce myself for a few seconds. To tell you my qualification for this topic, for this particular conversation. As I said before, as I told you, I work with teens for many, many years, probably 15, 16 years. Till about 7, 8 years ago, I had my own organization. It was called Erla Yesharim. We had many different programs in Muncie, a drop-in center. We had a referral system to help these boys find jobs. And slowly but surely it became more a one-on-one type of situation. I realized it's just not going to work in the masses, bring all together, because it's so individualized. It's so different, one person than the other, one kid than the other. They all need a different. So I realized it's more like a one-on-one type of situation. At the moment, currently I am once a week in the yeshiva of Barry Weber, the singer Barry Weber. He has a yeshiva for boys that are in the probably stage 2, I wouldn't say stage 4, stage 2 or stage 3 of struggling, the way we call it. And I'm one-on-one with these boys. I'm there weekly, and I get to hear their perspective, and this is the conversation today, is understanding how do they see it. We see things top-down. We see our children. They see us. Try to remember when we were little kids how we saw our parents. They see it through their perspective. We see it through our perspective. Our perspective is the future, the big picture. A teenager or a teen at risk, a kid does not think about the future. We're trying to teach them, don't do this, it's going to affect. They don't see, they see now. Why do they see now? Because they are desperate. When someone is in pain, when someone was in Auschwitz, they didn't think about tomorrow, they were thinking, I need food now. Once they had food, they were thinking about shelter. If they didn't have food, they didn't think about shelter even. They were just thinking about food. If they didn't have food, they were just thinking about water. So there's the pyramid, the hierarchy of what we need to have in life. So if someone is emotionally struggling, they are not able to see yet the big picture, because they are so stuck in their current situation, they cannot see beyond. So from their perspective, they see now, instant pleasure. I need now survival. I want to feel good now. We, the parents, looking down, not looking down at them, looking from our perspective as a parent to a child, we want to see the big picture. We see it's not good for you, it's not good for your future. And they're stuck in their path, in the now. Just on Friday, I had a little time after my shvuz. I went out, I was driving around with my wife. I grew up in the Catskill, we were here every summer. And I grew up in Woodburn. There's a country called the Golden Hills. That was like, it was mama's golden, it was my golden years. I loved it. When we were kids, from my 5 probably to my bar mitzvah, my parents went every summer to Golden Hills, right off near TriStar. So I told my wife, I want to go in there. I wasn't there since I was a child. I was walking in the bungalow colony. And I was looking, I said, this house used to be huge. It's so tiny. And then I remember, here was the payphone. There was only payphones. Actually, my mother had one of the payphones on our porch, and when someone called, we had a mic, and we said, Mrs. Stern, you have telephone. And she had to come, But the shul was tiny. It used to be such a big shul. And as I was walking in, I was remembering everything. I was reliving the golden hills, golden years. And I realized that a child's perspective, things are so different than our perspective. I remember vaguely, but I think there's some kind of museum, I'm not sure if it's in the city, New York City, maybe London somewhere, where there's a museum where everything is huge. They have tables that are this size. And they want us adults to walk in there and to see how children see the world. Imagine walking in here between the chairs. We see the chairs this way. So when it comes to life, everyday decisions about life, we have to remember that they have a very different perspective. They see it from a now perspective, and we see it from a later perspective. So what's the goal? The goal is to understand their perspective, and through that, get them slowly but surely to start seeing your perspective. So we have to start the engine. We have to be there for them. We have to listen to them and understand what do they see, what's their story, they're all living in their own world, in their own friends, quote-unquote friends. We know what their friends are. Tomorrow they're not a friends, it's creek, fights and clothes. But they're friends. They're living off. They're friends now. Now is their whole life. And once we listen to them, we understand them, we're connecting to them. Then slowly, which we're going to say soon how to do that, is try to throw in different my perspective, which means your future. Get into future thinking mode rather than just living in the now. I think that one of the greatest things that I could give you, a nugget, is ask questions. I sit with these boys, mainly with boys. I work with girls also, but mainly with boys. They have such tanas on their parents, such arguments and such, you know what I'm going to use the word? Conspiracies. I think that teenagers in general, their brain, we need to understand teenagers. Again, I need to make a preface. I'm talking about in general. We're talking about everybody's different stages, from 13 to 22, 25, different ages, different stages. So it's a very general conversation, obviously. It's not, then they have the active teenagers, and then you have the depressive teenagers, the one that sit in the basement on Facebook morning to night. I'm old-fashioned, Facebook, TikTok, morning to night, and that's what they're doing like constantly. And so those are the depressive. They dissociate. They don't work. They're not proactive. And then you have the proactive teenagers that have so much energy. So obviously, also needs different approaches, different ages, different stages, different types. So it's a very general conversation, obviously, that we're having today. So one of the things that works, that usually works, is listening to them, because I talk to them, to these kids, one-on-one, and they tell me a story, and then I speak to their parents. It's like two different masses. It's the same car accident, and someone was standing at this corner of the intersection, and this one's at the other side, and they both are seeing a total different story. It's very hard sometimes to listen to them, because it's so, it's very hard to listen to their perspective. This is mamish, because they're so confused. What? In pain. And Mamayla, that's why they're confused, and they see it in such a different way. I say that most teenagers, and the risky ones, the ones that are OTD, the way we call them, are politicians in their brain, and they're conspiracy theorists in their brain. And there's they connect dots. So yesterday, when I came home, you didn't tell me good night, and then this morning, and this boy is telling me a whole maisa, and the mother has oblivion. She has no idea what. I waited up for him a few hours extra. I could wait for him to come home. I prepared him supper, his favorite. The whole family had milchig, and I made for him fleischig. And he comes home and he sees one point and one dot, another dot. You know what we do with the little kids in school? We make a few dots and follow it to trace it, and then you see a picture of a glass of an animal. And then you have people that are able to create a picture out of much less dots. A teenager can see one dot here, one dot here. They see a sun and a moon. They see they see everything. They connect the two dots, and they have a whole massa. Conspiracy theorists. It's part of the development of general development of teenagers, and even more so with teenagers that are in pain. To them, it's a whole political mind. So, being curious. There's a line, be curious, not judgmental. If someone other, not only our child, someone does something, we right away judge, like, how dare they do that? Don't be judgmental, be curious, go ask them, listen, why? I'm wondering, why would you do that? Many times they'll answer you, say, Naturally, we right away judge. Don't judge, ich weiß nicht, we don't know anything. In Yiddish, when tamavata, temish, meaning, like as if you don't know, is one of the greatest tools to get people to talk. Like as if you don't know, like I'm wondering, I would love to understand why. So instead of telling you, you have to come home by 12 o'clock, I can't sleep, me and mommy can't sleep, we're nervous until you come into the house. No, I promise you, mama, give me 12, they're walking to 1:30. You don't know if the police are going to call you that they were speeding or they had a car accident in your head, you're thinking already, millions of course, thoughts, everything crosses your mind. Who knows where they are? What?
You're thinking conspiracy.
Our own conspiracy theorists. The world today is full of conspiracy theorists. It's assumptions. We're living in a world of assumptions. We assume and we predict. And hopefully we could filter information a little better. So if we do that, how much more so the teenagers do it? But if a child sees something in their conspiracy mind, in their political mind, they have a whole story, and you say, tell me, what did you think that what happened last night? Or when I came home and I said this, when I did that. You'll be very surprised. Many times they have a richtige Tana. Many times they have something and say, oh, I didn't realize that. When I do so, as a side note, it's many teenagers forget even if how to read facial expressions. A very interesting thing. We have a huge therapist here, Rabbi Yaakov Solomon. I'm sure, hopefully if you could, it's a schus for me that you're here, but if you could vouch for that, I think that teenagers, even if they had it, even if they were socially savvy, they knew social cues and everything as kids, many teenagers lose it for some reason. Even the boys, the mainstream, he doesn't like me. Like, what is it based on? Because he didn't extra smile, he didn't show the muscles, he didn't move around the facial expressions the way you would want them to do. So must be, so he doesn't, they have a whole cheshbonos. It's not interesting. So by asking questions, by saying, you say, last night you were angry at me. How many times do we hear it from our kids? You're angry, you didn't accept me. And we tell them a million times, I love you, I accept you, you're amazing. And they say, they read your facial. Interesting. I've seen it. So many times they told me, my mama ketish van mich, and then she's like, I said, just be more elaborate. You're on stage, you're acting in a show. Just it's not as a side note. Many, it's not all of the kids, but many of them need this extra. I love, say it with the whole heart. Show with the hands, whatever. The whole mannerism should show your expression, not just like robotic. It does help.
Can I try and learn something?
Sure.
I'm a team mentor, and I actually use dogs.
Okay.
Therapy with them.
Okay.
And you learn very, very much. If you tell a dog, good girl, she'll nothing. But if you use your body,
thank you.
That's when you get the.
Thank you. See that? Yeah. So that's.
It's the same with the boys, but it's more obvious. You can see that their ears, like and their tail, starting to wag, based upon your
expression.
Yeah.
Interesting. Someone, a horse trainer, there's a lot of horse trainers. He told me that he said they feel you. Horses are able to feel. I guess dogs need the whole expression. So, all kinds of b'riyah that Hashem created in the world.
A lot of teens like dogs against their parents as well, because there's a direct correlation between their feelings.
And that's
they can't bring a horse into the 9 weeks.
right. Oh, okay. That's exactly it. Okay, so which brings me like this. I think that because the teens have, or these children have their own perception of reality, we need to get through to them, right? So one of the ways is if we understand what's happening in the brain is the conspiracy in the political mind. I call it a spinner. Like you make a dreidel. You make a spinner and it starts and it's already in there. So how do you stop it? How do you get them to, 1 minute, listen, I want to explain to you something. Never worked. You say, tell me, why are you saying this? You have a much bigger chance rather than saying, stop, listen to me a second. I want to talk to you. Even when the wife tells the husband, I want to talk to you, we need to talk. Right? We need to talk. You're like, I have to go to Milchamarev now. I'm gonna. So our children, for sure, yeah, you want to say something?
An observation, but I remember learning not to ask a kid why. Why don't you attach to explanation? Third, to ask how come.
Okay. Yeah, I hear. It's really more saying, I want to understand your perspective. So, again, our kids, one of the greatest conspiracies they have in their brain is that we are selfish. We are doing everything because, again, they see the now, they don't see the future. We see their future, we're not on the same page. We want them to do actions that are going to improve their future, and they want to do actions that are doing now, so we're not on the same page. So, they have a conspiracy that we are selfish. The reason why you're telling me this, you want for your covet, you want for the family name, you're doing this only because, So they need to understand that we worry for them much more than we worry for ourselves. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have them in our house. They're only giving us trouble. We're not gaining. We want to help them, but they don't see it that way. So how do we explain this to them? How do we tell them that you are more important to me? And I want to tell you something, just for a sec. How many times did I hear, probably in the last 15 years, boys and girls tell me that my Yiddishkeit is more important to my parents than my own life? I had a boy that he works in a construction company, and with a circle saw he cut into his hand, and he needed a couple of surgeries. He said his father came in to the hospital, and he was, after surgery, he was very graphic when he was telling me the story. I guess he needed my sympathy, apathy, and whatever, and I gave it to him, obviously. And he says, the first time in my life I felt my father likes me. I realized that he was crying with me when he came with Atzola, and they realized the whole. He said, I needed to hurt myself. He didn't do a dafke, but that I should feel that my father likes me. Because he was only busy with my Yiddishkeit till now. He was only telling me this and that, this color T-shirt and the pious. I have to tell you the whole, it was still. When our children believe us, that our own ego are covered, Yiddishkeit, everything is on the side, I'm worrying about you first, that's when we have the biggest chance. We know that. That's when they have the greatest chance. Yeah.
Just a question. The first time I caught myself, where he was calling me a joint, my mother was on the shines in the hand, and he was very upset with me that I cried, not because he was smoking marijuana. I'm from home, so it was a little bit more okay to me, but that it was daf on Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
But what would have been on that? I don't know if I get a right answer, because it bothered me the most. First, the whole picture comes to you when you're like, you think
right.
Your kid is in special camp, and that's how do they even get it? But then I didn't know how to react, because it was hurting me the most that it was in Shabbos.
Right, but to make up for it, next time he does it on Tuesday, cry also. You know what I'm saying? That's really what they need to know. And the emphasis that this is Rachnis, this is true. All the Rabbanim, all the speakers, and all my mentors, that everybody gave us the okay. We need to worry about their Gashmis, their life, their emotional system, their physical system, and then about their Rachnis, their spiritual system. It goes in order. If there's no mensch, there's no Rachnis, there's no Torah. So obviously, we need to understand, we need to believe that, and then naturally our reaction to them is going to come through that way. There is no, it doesn't work that way. And I always tell parents that, my son, they realized the problem. The Levish, they took off. They stopped with Yiddishkeit. I said, Yiddishkeit is the last thing that they drop. And Yiddishkeit and Levish is going to be the last thing they're going to put back on. By the time you realize that your child is struggling, and you only realize that when he took off his rekel, or when she started wearing miniskirts, or whatever, the girl, the boy, whatever, they're doing crazy things, risky things, that's too late. That's already after they're broken and they're hurt and everything else. Not to blame us, obviously. We're not meant to be a psychologist, all of us, to realize. But I'm just saying that this is the last thing that came off was the Yiddishkeit. The last thing that's going to come back is the Yiddishkeit. They know what Torah is. They know what Yiddishkeit. They know about Yiddish life. They know. We don't need to tell them. They went to the Yaakovs. They went to Talmud Torahs. They know everything. We don't need to preach to them Yiddishkeit at all. This is not what they need to hear from us. If someone is not wholesome and stable, they're not able to. And the halacha is like that. Choyle puta from all the mitzvahs. Someone that's not only a choyle is puta from the mitzvahs. In B'Sham Shem, the Gemara says that's the halacha. If someone is ill, he's part of the mitzvahs, and even the person that's attending them and helping them is also puta. Now, at the moment, we need to make Pekich Nefesh. Pekich Nefesh means the emotional system. Yeah. Not my conspiracy theory.
Right, they always think we're out to get them.
Yes.
You're always supposed to show them that you love them. So this situation I have right now, I just found out from somebody who watched my daughter's Instagram that she's going over 100 miles an hour on this throughway. Okay? So now I gave her the car. I didn't really want to give her the car, but I gave it to her because I wanted her to know that I'm on her team.
Right.
And now I know from her postings that she was going 100 miles an hour, and
Right.
everybody's that. So now it's not a safe thing, but what am I supposed to do? How do you go between safety, giving them, showing them?
Do you have something you could do?
Sorry?
Is there anything you could do to stop her?
No. I
So
cannot
what's
give her the car.
She'll get another car.
Why should I give her my car? Or she
That's.
What should I do? Or what should I say? Ask her a question? Is it possible you were going over 100 miles an hour? And then I don't want her to shut down her Instagram.
No, I'm curious to know. A good question. I'm curious to know why you were speeding down the road. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's just the speed limits are just there for?
They haven't established yet that she's speeding to her daughter. She can't go into that because that wasn't established.
Right. No, I'm assuming that she is because she's asking me. That means that she does have.
To her daughter.
Yeah.
She has to establish with the daughter that she's being shared with someone else.
Oh, okay, fine. That's well, obviously that's.
Posts it on her Instagram.
It's supposed to,
Somebody
yeah.
I know watches her Instagram and tells me what's going on.
Right.
So
Okay, so we can talk about it more one-on-one after the shir, but I think that in general, it would be, as I said before, we have to try to ask them questions. And say, tell me, is that okay? Do you think it's okay? Do you think all the speed limits in the streets are there just to get us? The police are looking to make tickets? They want to make money? Is it just, I'm curious, be curious.
Isn't that the now? Like that's what she wants.
Exactly, she wants the now, and we are trying to get them to think about a little bigger than the now. Think about tomorrow. So you can't get them to think about 10 years from now. You could have a logical conversation with them. What's going to be 5 years from now? How do you see yourself? Very nice. It's not going to work. It doesn't go in. It's not happening. We're trying to stop their spin of their brain, so we constantly ask questions. And the other way to get in, I don't have that much time to talk. Unfortunately, they gave me only 45 minutes. I have to go. But the next thing is to stop their spinning dreidel. The whole thing is to say, I apologize. We men know. We know. 1 minute. We know that when you come home and your wife is ranting and raving about something, rightfully so, we say, I'm sorry. If you don't say I'm sorry, I'm married for a couple of years, I know. You say, I'm sorry. What does I'm sorry do? I'm sorry says, you have the full right to feel that way. It's valid, your feelings, everything is valid, and I apologize. Cycle the geret, what you're just complaining about is not true, and it's not. That's later. Once we get out of this emotional spinner, we could talk logical. But the only way to stop an emotional excitement is to say, one of the ways is, I'm sorry. So we need to say, I'm sorry, I apologize. What do you think you are? They have the whole conspiracy, and you know that you're right, and you know that she's totally off. The whole argument, everything that she's saying is, and you try to rationalize them, they're just going to continue. I want to share with you a very quick thing that happened. A couple of years ago, there was a young man, a person in my neighborhood, that he had a court case against the neighbor. There was a story against him that he had a shaykhs with the kids over there, that he was a molester. Well, it was a very terrible situation. And he had a court case against him. They were about to put him into prison for 10 years. And he kept us, and his lawyers kept telling him, plead guilty. In America, you just plead guilty and everything. Plead guilty, you'll have 10 years probation, but you're not going to. But you have a very big chance that you're going to be in prison for 10 years for this. He said, I never did it. I'm not going to plead guilty. And all the Askanim and Mansi Durabanim, not after that they believed him or not, but they were telling him, just plead guilty. You have kamat no chance. A Chassidish guy with a big beard, and all the juries over there, all alta Goyish ladies, and you have no chance of getting out of this case. So just plead guilty. Everybody tried to work with him, nothing worked. One morning I was davening in shul, and a big Askan and Mansi came over to me and said, Shlomi, you know about this case? I didn't even know that much. I heard something. He said, how about you call him up today, is this court case. Tell him to plead guilty. His family, they were so in pain if he's going to end up in jail. I said, well, okay, I'll try. I said, I can tell him, Hashem, help me. I call him up, he knows who I am. I call him up, yeah, Shlomi, you're also going to tell me? He starts screaming at me. I said, no, I'm just calling to tell you that I understand you. Whatever direction you're going, you should just know that I support you. I am here for you. He says, wow, the first person. So he's saying that I'm right? I'm not choosing anything. But if you decide to go to jail for 10 years and not to plead guilty for something that you did not do, I support you. You have the full right. Ich verstehe dich 100%. Within a few minutes, he started arguing with me why he should plead guilty. He pleaded guilty. I saved his life. I was a shlich, not the big chochem, but Hashem gave me this chochem at the moment. What was it? Because as long as he didn't feel that he is understood, there was nobody on the other side of his brain, we need chachma, bin back and forth, the conversations. There was nobody on the other side listening to that part, regardless if it's irrational. Our kids are very irrational. Do I need to say that? So how do we stop that? Curiosity, asking questions, and apologizing. I'm sorry, bis gerecht, I feel for you, 100%. I really apologize for you for what I did yesterday that and then you're going to find them saying, no, mommy, it was my fault. Did it ever happen by mistake, a conversation like that? Let's do it on a daily basis. You're right, mommy. 100%, Tati. Come on. So this is another way of getting them to think. And then I think there's explaining. We assume, this is how we assume, that a kid at this age should know. So when I say you cannot come home after 12 o'clock, we assume they know why. But they can't know why, because they're in their perspective, and they're in their selfish daladamas. They cannot see your perspective, that my father's not going to go to sleep until I come home. I'm using this as an example, obviously it's on everything else. So we need to explain, the reason why I want ABC is because EFG. Every single time explain. Make it a habit. Even to your husbands, by the way. You just say it. The reason I needed to be home on time is because it's easy for me to put the kids to bed when you come. Say why. For some reason we become very stingy when it comes to dibur. It's the only thing that's so free. And to criticize, it's so easy, right, to say words. But for some reason when it comes to this, we become so stingy. We're like, explain. You know, how many times in the Torah, I'm not going to go through in the Torah, how many times the Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu, and you see again the same parasha, Hashem, so tell the Dabel Benai through a Laimor, say as the following, do this, do that, the whole Mishkan, again and again. We learn from this, we have to explain. And even more so for these kind of kids, like when they are listening to this, I want to tell you why I think for you, ABC. Just explain. I think that's a very important thing. And never say, I told you so. They live in such a guilt. And the more careless they look like with the big shoulder walking around like that, these kids are even more guilty and more self-conscious. They are so self-conscious. And they hate when we point it out to them. How many times our kids want to do something, it's like, come on, we see the future again. They see it now. And we tell them, if you're going to do this, you're going to end up, and then, okay, and it happened, yeah, right, I told you so. You're never gaining from saying, I told you so. It's a big avodah sometimes on our behalf not to say that I told you so. Why not? Why not? Why can't we say that I told you so? We're not allowed to hurt them. I'll tell you why we can't say that I told you so. Because they're in the spinner. Right? You remember the spinner? They're in that emotional, and they are so hurt. They have the whole conspiracy on themselves. And when a person gets too pained, they become numb. Let them deal with their own raw emotion. Let them go to sleep knowing, I messed up again. I didn't listen to my mama yesterday, and I did it, They deal with it on their own. They're able to reflect and say, you know what, I should attack maybe. We have a chance for them to look back and say, maybe I didn't do the right thing. But if we give it to them again and say, Tati told you yesterday, then they're not going to reflect. It's not going to work anymore. They're not going to self-reflect and say, because now they're already angry at you. So the whole story went aside. They're just focusing that you were fighting them. They're in a fight with you now again. Then, I think connecting to the kids through Ahava, through the whole Shabbos, our whole life, we all know that we have to constantly try to love them and connect to them through Ahava. I was thinking an interesting approach, which just seeing it through the perspective of the kids. I was on a group. I'm in a group of, on WhatsApp with different groups, and one of the boys said once, and I was, he's a keep, and he said, my parents are trying now to love me now. They're gonna make me Jewish by loving me, So that alone, first of all, he feels that his parents only cares about his Yiddishkeit, not about him. But they're gonna, they teach me how to love me. So from their perspective, how do we really build love very quickly? I think that let's go to the Torah for a minute. The Torah says, "V'haftes Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha," that we have to love Hashem. So the obvious question is, how could you love someone, something, he, she, whatever it is, if you've never seen it, tasted, felt it? How do you love something? It's called the word, God, Hashem. How does that work? And how can He force me to love someone? How does that work? How does that, right? So the Gemara talks about it back and forth. So what do we know? Okay, have is giving. If you give, you do Torah mitzvahs for Hashem, you get back, fine. That's one idea. I think to keep love and to build love is through appreciation. Hakudas Tova. We could be married for many, many years. If you forget to be makar Tova your spouse in your head every single day, the love could diminish slowly. You want to constantly have a burning ahava to each other, is constantly thinking and appreciating, just like the first moment when you met each other. You open up your drawer, and you see the socks in the drawer, it's folded. You think to yourself, if your wife is asleep, if she's up, tell her, but if she's sleeping, you'd say, wow, my wife is amazing. She was standing, washing the laundry, going back, putting it into the dryer, and then folding it. Wow, amazing, I love her. Thank you. Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. And the same thing is that the other way around. Thank your husbands in your brain. Verbally is the best, but constantly appreciating and thanking makes you love them. So when I dank the Eibishter, we appreciate, we are makar toive, we constantly focus on all the good that Hashem gives us. We start loving Him. Love is the name of a feeling that develops when you care for someone or when you feel cared for. It's the name of a feeling. If we thank our children, we are going to have a very easy time loving them. Sounds funny. I want to thank you for your existence. I want to thank you. No, we only tell them when they come home late. Again, this is only my example. I want to thank you for coming home early today. It means so much to me. You're going to love them even more. And they're going to start loving you. And they're going to start, Metz Hashem, reflecting. And they're going to start thanking you. And when they're going to start thanking you, that's the moment when they're going to start getting back the feelings towards you. It's interesting to point out that there's we know the instinct is that we love our children. Children don't love the parents naturally. There's no mitzvah. Doesn't say you have to be the mechabed, you have to honor them, you have to worry for them, for their food, their shelter, whatever. Naturally, we love our children much more than we love our parents. We don't need our children to love us in a way that, like, the way we love them. We need them to know that we care for them, and we need them to appreciate what we do for them. We want them to appreciate what we do for them. And that kind of love, that we could build. It's a very different type of love. And that is probably one of the strongest things that we could do to get over and to look at all the hardships that they give us, or the betrayals and the chutzpah that they do us in our face. After everything we do for them, they're still going to, hurt us and belittle us, whatever, we all know. It's if we start thanking them, there's going to start building a moedig ahava. Thank you so much for putting on this dress. Thank you so millions of things. And it's not only about chafaitzim, thank them about their own existence, thank them about their emotion for what they do. Obviously, believe in them and everything else, but now I'm talking about thanking. Being a makar toiva, that you're amazing. Yesterday I watched, you took care of the little baby, your little sibling, you're so cute, the way you took care of it, it's amazing. I just want to thank you for being a great older sister. I want to thank you for taking responsibility for your younger siblings. There's so much to thank in these kids, even while they're doing all the other stuff. Again, as I said yesterday, we could always separate. And then the next madraiga is, which is very hard to do, but I'm sure most of us have experienced that, is we need to let them vent on us. One of the greatest things is when I talk to these kids, I see that they have so much pain against their parents. If they would just know what their parents are doing for them. But again, from their perspective, they have so much tanas or so much pain. And if they cannot tell it to you in your face, they can't connect to you. I want to say Chassidish Masa. Short one. The Baditch Veruv was one, the Heilige Baditch Veruv life. It was once Friday, Yom Kippur night. The Olam Vat for Kol Nidre, the Rebbe didn't come out, and then suddenly comes out of his room, and he runs up to the Kodesh, crying, a red face, mamish, and he opens up the Peroiches, and he starts crying, Heilige Bashefer, I am davening to you on behalf of the whole Kehillah, on all the Eden in this town. We want to ask you for forgiveness. I want to apologize. We talked Lashon Hara, we did this, we did that. But Hashem, what did you do? You made all the Yisayimim, you made all the Almunas, you made all the OTDs. You'll be us, Michael, and we'll be you, Michael. He closes the Kodesh, he goes to daven. After davening, you can imagine, there was a huge lineup. And they're asking the Rebbe, explain to us, come on, we need this guy's food. He says, I saw in Shemayim, the Mullah Tzaddik were able to see what's going on in Shemayim. He says, I saw in Shemayim there's a huge gezerah on the town. And I had no way of breaking it. And I was thinking, how in the world I'm going to break this gezerah to make sure that everybody has a good year. I realized that Hashem wants us to relate to Him the same way we relate to others. When you're newly married, you can't tell your spouse everything. You can't complain to them, but when you have a good relationship, you say, I want to tell you I'm upset about this and this that you did yesterday. Please explain to me why you did this, why that. Closeness means if we're able to tell someone, my tana on you. I have a complaint on you, I'm upset. That's real closeness. So the Baditch Veruv was telling them that Hashem wants us, you cannot say, Hashem, you don't know what you're doing, Chaz v'sholem. You cannot say that, that's why the story is not to be told to 5-year-olds. But he was teaching us that you say, Hashem, I don't understand why. I'm so in pain, why did you do this to me? That's closeness. Our kids have tanas on us. Again, from their perspective, they're right. We need to let them open our pareiches, take off our layers, and tell us, Tati, Mami, yes, you did for me, but I am very upset, I'm very angry. They're not going to filter it. They're going to say it the way it is, the way they feel. And they're going to say, I'm very angry at you. And you say, you're so right. Wow. Just listen. Feel them. Don't get logical. Listen. Let them have all tanas in the world on you. And I'm telling you, I wish the certain boys that I work with, the parents are just not the parents that come to these shabbusim. They're not parents that I could. I wish if I would just have 5 minutes with them, I would tell them, just let your child tell you everything he has against you. When I was a 3rd grader, you didn't pick me up from school and I was waiting and I felt abandoned. The kid could go to therapy from now to tomorrow. Going to help. Amazing. You know what's going to help them the most? If one says, wow, I'm going into your head as a 6-year-old, waiting outside school, and you didn't pick me up. How I would feel abandoned, who knows what. And I just heard a story about kidnapping. Someone is going to kidnap me. And there's a whole abandonment feeling in this kid. And the mother says, I am father, mother, I'm so sorry that this is what you're experiencing. I'm telling you, we could fast forward months and months of their turbulent journey that they need to go through. So we need to let them vent. And you know when this happens usually? By the way. It's not by appointment. When you're driving them somewhere, they're sitting in the car and they're facing that way, you're facing that way. I know a lot of Shalom Bayis people do that, they have heavy conversations in the car. Because they can't look at each other, so we have to, okay, it's also good, at least something. But it's always the by the way, in the middle of you're making the fish for Shabbos, that's when your child is going to walk in, slam doors, and you hear doors slamming, you hear sighs. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, and all your feelings start coming up, like, what did I do now? What happened? And mommy, every time sometimes you have to think, if you're able to. We're not maluchim, we're humans, but if we can, we say, you know what? This is that by-the-way moment that my kid wants to vent something, wants to tell me a time. Yeah, Sheikh, just let the fish burn, it's okay. Just sit down and say, tell me what happened. What last night when he came home and this and that, and you told me that I'm a druggie. I'm not a druggie. I never did it. It's only once or 6 times or 7 times, and that the other time, I'm off drugs already for months. Okay, last week I had, and you say, wow, you're so right. How dare I say that? I really apologize. I'm human. I'm really, just like, those by-the-way moments, Stamazo is a good idea, but for these kids is an amazing thing. I think that's listening to them, not when it's planned, and letting them say it unfiltered. And I say even a marriage also. When you come home and your wife feels that she has a lot of heavy emotions on her, there's something, she wants to vent. I A real strong man is someone that has muscle, right? Real emotional muscles. Being able to be emotionally blamed. It's your fault. And every time you do this, what did they say? Every time. And yes, you always do it. And now at the moment, she feels that every single time you did it. And you're thinking to yourself, one minute, your logical brain. But yesterday, we had such a good time. How could it be? Now, our teen, or whoever it is, whoever's in the emotional spin at the moment, the other should not be logical. Say, okay, fine, the person feels that way. Our kids are exactly the same. They need to tell us unfiltered. If it comes out unfiltered, it's easier. They get much quicker rid of it. If they have to watch how they're saying it to you, it's not really giving it out. So just let them say it. Look, see, teenagers have so much energy. Yeah. Oh, so you want to ask him? Teenagers have so much energy, and they want to give it out that way. I want to share with you a story. I shared it on Friday, so whoever was here that was here for Friday, I don't think there's anybody here for Friday. I don't think, oh, you were there? So you're going to hear the story again. But this story has to be online. Has to be told. One of the Bachrim, I'm going to give you a gift. Hashem gave me this gift a few weeks ago. I'm going to give this gift to you. I'm giving a shir in Be'er Vebe's yeshiva. I'm talking to the Bachrim and one of the boys said, Rabbi, I like your watch. Can I see it? You know, over there's a lot of ADD kids, so I need to be very flexible because we talk about one subject, and then they switch away about politics, and then suddenly bring it back. My goal is by the end of the conversation, I should have put into them what I wanted to gain, whatever. So, you can't have the AD, like Jacobson once said, ADHD is attention deficit. Hey, donuts. So it's that kind of a conversation. So for me being the ADD and dealing with them, but the kid says, so he says he wants to see my watch. So I take it off, I give it to him. And I'm continuing my speech, and I hear him telling to the other boy sitting near him, and he says, I love it. He puts it on. After the shir, talks to me again about it. I said, you want it? You could have it. I had it already a year, $300-$400 watch, but I had it already for a year. I have a lot of watch. I'm one of my Michigan. Okay, fine, helps to. After we daven mincha, and after mincha he says, can you drive me back to the dormitory alone? I want to talk to you. I said, sure. Take him into my car. On the way he says, you know what it means to me that you gave me that watch? I said, tell me. What's mine this? He says, I'm from Williamsburg. My father, I'm just going to say he doesn't come here. His father kicked him out of the house because he has a chup. I don't blame anybody, but sorry, not every parent could deal with it. He kicked him out of the house. He said, my father threw me out of the house. I was in the streets till one guy, this person that I happen to know who it is, from Borough Park, met me and he said, Die dreist dich in the Gassen, there's a yeshiva, Manzi, Beres yeshiva, I'm going to get you in, and he knows Barry and this and back. He got me into this yeshiva. I'm here in the yeshiva for a couple of weeks already. I said, I know, you're talking to a Bucher here. He says, I am so heartbroken because I don't have a penny to my name. My jeans and my t-shirts are torn. And 2 days ago, he's telling me, I ran out of cigarettes. He said, this is, forget about it. He's out of nicotine. Ich bin ohne nicotine, I can't take it. So one morning, he tells me a few days ago, I walked out of the yeshiva and I started crying my head off in the street in the backyard of the yeshiva. And I started talking to Hashem. And I said, Hashem, you're my father, you care for me? Chanishkan, I have nothing. And he's walking in the back of our yeshiva, there is a cemetery, a Yiddish cemetery, on Saddle River in Monsey. He says, I come to the kaiva, Tmimus from a buchi, you're not going to believe what he told me. I come over there and I see the kvurim, and I see a Yiddish kaiva over there, and I threw myself onto this kaiva, and I said, I don't know who you are, but I know that you're dead, you cannot do any more mitzvahs. I know a few kapitach tilim by heart. I'm going to say it to your chis, you ask Hashem that I should have cigarettes, money, and clothing. He says this to him, Tmimas. He walks away. He said, less than a half a minute walking away from the kaiver. I get a phone call. This young man that put me into the yeshiva calls me up and he says, Wie bist du? I'm here in Monsey. I'm by the yeshiva. You're not here. I just came to visit you. He says, I'm in the backyard. Where are you? He honked his horn, comes to the front, he wipes off his tears. Was machst du, was tust du? And he's talking to him and he says, 1 minute, you smoke, right? This morning, someone threw into my car a big carton of cigarettes. I don't smoke. You need it? He said, sure. It was his favorite cigarettes. I think it was Parliament Mental. It was a Mental. I can't remember which one. In the car sits the singer man's brother, younger brother, which I also know who he is. And he says, 1 minute, I just did a business deal today. kleine Zach. And I said, I'm going to give $100 master. A bacher, you're allowed to give master, right? Hey, you have $100. This is a halbe minute walking away from the kaiver. He gets a phone call from his aunt, his father's sister, living in Pomona. And she calls him up. She's more modern. She calls him up. She says, I was just when shopping online, and at the end, at checkout, it said 50% off. So I ordered everything double. You're the same size like my Moshe. So I ordered you jeans, shirts, and alles dezelfde size. I was about to pay anyway, du hast du. Need I say more? The next day, 2 days later, I gave him the watch. I was zoiche, my wife said I was zoiche to get the story because I gave away something. So true. People always ask why all the speakers have on Tachet Santa Masses. Do they make it up? No, and I say the opposite, right? Hashem gives us all these stories because He knows we have the mic. I'm telling you, the Tmimas, people want to know which caver it is. But I'm not saying because I want to make money off it. I'm setting up in the middle of workout. I'm not a Shemaim. But the Tmimas and the Emeskite of this kid, the Tmimas, if you look at him, he has this huge chop, the pious jeans, a red t-shirt. So a confused soul. Is it tzaddik? I got very close to him. But if I would have, talking to the other staff members who were discussing this boy, and they said, his father's just going to, don't even talk to him because he's angry at the yeshiva that we took in his son. So if that's the case, I hope one day I'll be able to sit down and tell this father this story, without saying it's his son, and say, by the way, this is your kid. If this father would ever listen to this boy and realize that he's struggling with his addiction to cigarettes and many other things, but this kid is more cheshivit to Shemaim, evidently so, than all his other kids with the Vasa Zaken, with the Lange Pious. This kid is so connected, so echt. He said, Hashem, help me. Wow, what a misahaskel for me this was. This was on a Thursday. I came home and I told my kids, ich darf erzählen. My son-in-law was by me with that. We were discussing this mass. It was... Our children are so sensitive, so real, so authentic. According to their calculations, they're doing crazy things, stupid things, risky things. Because their calculation does that to them. But if the moment they get out of this spin, they become a little older, Mitzvah Hashem, all of them, they grow up. It's not about age, it's about stage. Our Moisda system goes by age. Very big problem. It should go by stage. Some about age, but by stage. A kid, my 15-year-old kid should know already. No, she doesn't know yet. She'll know when she's 18. She'll know when she's 29. Rebbe Akiva took till 40. It's a totzat. There's no, wherever you're ready. I always say we're living on this world 90 years for a reason. Hashem doesn't expect us to be a tzaddik today. It's totzat. We come every Rosh Hashanah, we cry for we ask Hashem for that. We do the same resolutions we did last year. And they're like, come on, I'm playing games now. Last year I promised Hashem I'm not. This year I'm going to, and again and again. And guess what? Hashem knows it takes many, many years. It takes time. Some kids it takes more. There's late bloomers. Now it's the spring season, we start seeing different trees are giving out. And some trees, they look like they're still dry. And a few weeks from now, they're going to give out the most beautiful, colorful flowers. But we need to have them in the whole garden. That we have all kinds. So in the beginning of the season, you have flowers, and then they die off. And then the next season, so throughout the whole summer, right, a good landscaper, someone that knows how to... The Hashem has a huge landscape, and He has Alamina Yidin. And He has a lot of us that need to bloom a little later. If the boys would be, they're in my head. If the boys would be here and talk to you now, you know what they would say? I know very well every single thing that I am doing, every risky thing, every crazy thing. I am guilty, I am hurt, I know everything, I don't need you to tell me. Please, make it easy for me that I should trust you. that you hear from me, not for your image, not for Hashem, and not for Yiddishkeit, and not for this, and not for that. Just that's the only thing I need from you. Through love, through care, through listening, through explaining. Give me time. That's what they're asking. Gem mich Zeit, ich bete, gem mich Zeit. I had a boy, he's 22, still struggling. He went, Mamash, a recent story, he told his mother and his father, he called him into a room one night and he said, I want to talk to you. The parents told me the story in my office. Tati and Mami, I want to tell you something. You guys are going to be shocked. They sit down and he was standing. He was raving. I know how much you made up, how much you suffered from me. I know how much, when I was 10 years old, when I was kicked out, I spit my principal in the face and I lied to you, and I know you didn't believe me. And I know that he was telling them every single story. I want to thank you for bearing with me. They got such a matuna, such a gift that most of us are not zeicher to get yet. Such a matuna, they were mamash zeicher that their child and said, I still need time, he said. His spinner is already his conspiracies are going down a bit. Habshin's a bit more realistic, more reality, more grounded. He was able to say, he said, I am so sorry for everything I did to you. Ich darf noch Zeit. The father was overtaken, the mother told me, was darf noch Zeit? I felt so bad. Why do you still need time? I felt so bad for her.
Why does she need more time? Why does he need?
He said, thank you so much, and I apologize for everything till now. I know I did this to you, and that to you, and this time, and the other time, and that story, and the other, but I didn't realize I was talking English. And I just want to apologize, but I still need a little bit of time. The father understood at that moment, it's not always. And the mother said, why do you still need time? And I understand her also. I know she's right, but I understand her. I understand where it's coming from. In the Torah it says, Uhafti eschem umar Hashem. Hashem says, I love you, Klal Yisrael. When was it said? After we did the Eigel, after we did every Avaira. It's not contingent, it's not depending. Our Ahava to the Eibishter is not pending on our behavior. A lot of our teachers in Chayder told us that it is so, and they're liars. It's nicht emes. Hashem is very angry at you now. Hashem hates you. It's nicht emes. Hashem knows, He created our Yetzer Hara, and He knows very well, we know very well when He creates something, He creates it perfect. He created the Yetzer Hara, He's doing His job. The Baal Shem Tov said, my greatest Rebbe is the Yetzer Hara. I learned from him never to give up, all kinds of tricks, and move on. Consistency, everything I learned from. So the Yetzer Hara is very consistent. The Baal Shem Tov once said, why, a Talmud asked him, I think it was the Shvugger, Reb Gershon Kitova asked him, why is Mashiach not here? At the end of the day, with so many gulas and so much, why? What are we still missing? What are we still missing? Have you asked Hashem that? Ask Him. The Baal Shem Tov said, because I'm say in English, because we are not putting in enough kavana in the Ahava Rabbo of Tefillah. We say Ahava Soilam after in the morning. Shabbos morning we say Ahava Rabbo. We are not. So a lot of the Talmidim from the Baal Shem Tov said, the Ahava Rabbo is asking, is davening for Torah. We're saying, B'lebeinu binu lahovin l'haskell l'shmoy l'ilmud l'lamed. We're saying that we need more Torah. So the other Talmidim Baal Shem said, no! There's enough Torah in the world. There was so much Torah throughout the generations. He didn't mean what says inside the tefillah of Ahava Rabbah. He says Ahava Rabbah, immense love. That's why we were doing Torah mitzvahs, because we were scared of the stick. If not, you're going to go to Gehenna. We were learning in school because we were worried the Tata got mich punished. We were doing Torah mitzvahs because we don't want to go to Gehenna, we wanted to go night. So the Baal Shem Tov said, no, now the time is, the last few hundred years, and even more so now in our times, Ahava Rabbah is the main avoida that we need to have. We need to daven and connect to Hashem out of love, not out of fear. It says, "B'chu chaisman." The Eibshter gesagt for Avram Avinu, "B'chu chaisman," and you, we're gonna end off. The bottom line is going to be with your name. That means when we say Baruch Atah Hashem Mogen Avraham. Why Mogen Avraham? Mogen Yitzchak. We're just talking about the Kei Avraham, Kei Yitzchak, Kei Yaakov. So the Sfarim say, "B'chu chaisman," at the end, the chasim at the end of the letter, the end of the whole world. Before Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be B'cha, but Avraham. Avraham is mitzvah chesed, and chesed means ahava, rachmim, chesed, that whole bundle. Avraham Avinu was all about love, ahava, acceptance, chesed, kindness, gemilas chesed. That was his midah. And that's the way we're going to end. So maybe, Hashem is giving us, the tzaddikim, such a workout, so much exercise on this midah. Because this is going to bring Mashiach. This is what we have to actually exercise and work out every single day in the gym, the emotional gym, the logical gym, psychological gym, of working, of really becoming chesed and rachmim is for no reason. I love you not because you deserve, only if you deserve just by being alive. And you tell your child, you look them in the face, you say, you have to ask him. The same thing Hashem tells us. We look our child in the eye and we say, I love you, there's nothing in the world you could do to take away my love. You could embarrass me in public, kannst du wo du willst, gunish, kennish. The Liebschaft is, it doesn't depend on anything. It's a hava einat libedover. It's unconditional love. They don't believe it because they don't have to us that natural, unconditional love. We don't naturally love our parents that much as we love other kids. We love our parents because they care for us. It developed, ahava came because they care for us, they love us, so we love them back. We feel cared for, so we love them, as I said before. But our love to them is totally unconditional. Not only unconditional, even when you hurt me, even when you despise me, even when you embarrass me in public. I've seen it. I've been to a pizza store, Matzah Shabbos, a couple of weeks ago. It was a young, I don't know who they are, but this girl, she looks like she's mamish, busting out of her shell, young girl. How she was belittling her mother in front of the whole store. Everybody that was in the store wanted to sink ourselves a bisha. Mamish, it would be a hole of a mouth, we would hide how bad we felt for this mother. She didn't say a word. Such chaos, such pain, such anger. Many of us experienced that. And if we make our kids feel guilty for what they did, they cannot reflect anymore on what they did, as we said before. They could reflect, and they're going to reflect. They're not going to tell you that at night they're not sleeping and they feel bad. But if we tell them, you know what you just did? We don't need to tell them. They know. They know what they do. But if we tell them, now the spinner goes on and they get getting angry at us. So now it's about me and my mother. You shouldn't have said it this way. So now the whole argument is because you answered me this word, you should have said a different word. So the whole argument is diverted. They're not focused anymore on what actually happened. It happens in some of the arguments, right? If you throw whatever you're going to answer is going to be wrong. You say, nothing. Just don't say nothing. They know. And Metz Hashem, I'm going to end up with this, that Metz Hashem, there's going to come a day when all of you, all of us, including myself, are in the same situation. That our kid is going to come and tell us, I apologize to you. I want to listen to you. I'm curious to know how you had the koyach to deal with me till now. They're going to stop our spinner. And they're going to say, wow, thank you so much for trusting in me, believing in me. After all of this, how long it's going to take, ich weiß nicht. If it is going to happen, ich weiß nicht. But the only way to get there, maybe together, is only this mahalach. The Chu Chaisman, we have to end and finish with endless love, endless acceptance and understanding. And that's probably the only way that's going to go. Anybody wants to ask a question? Should I continue? Should I end? Huh? Okay, I should continue. You wanted to ask something? Yeah, I'm okay. I don't, this is the first time I'm speaking. They're not stopping me now. So yesterday, 2 days ago, I had to stop in the middle. I could go. Yeah.
I have a daughter that 14 years old, a little mamish in the ghetto. She goes out with a miniskirt. As much as I love her, but my wife has such pain with bushes.
Yeah.
How do you express the love? And she says, I love her, but my heart is broken.
A very good question, and I'm going to give you an answer that's even better, if that's okay, that I said it that way. Okay? His question, you heard his question. His question was that he lives in a ghetto, meaning say in a very clumsy, and a Yiddish, again, a building with hundreds of people, right? A Yiddish neighborhood. A Tschultab, wie man richtig sagt, right? Okay. And his daughter walks out with a miniskirt, and it's such pain for his wife. He's blaming his wife. For you also pain. Or for your wife more. I'm kidding. It's so painful for them to see the child going, how is it possible to love her while she's doing all this? I want to tell you a concept that I have.
If I make that
Yeah.
it's the pain to express love when the pain is there in public.
In the face.
She can't smile to her because the bush is so much. Of course she loves.
We all understand. Do we all understand them? Yeah. Everybody understands. We're all with you. But, not but, yet. Yeah. What is it? I could be, oh. So saying that he was elaborating on what point is actually hurting him when his daughter is doing it. You need to say, yeah, you want to add? Sure. Toysvus. Right. Right.
My daughter walks out in jeans and everything every single day. It doesn't hurt me that she walks out in jeans. I don't care.
Right.
What hurts me is what the kids in the building and the neighbors, what they do to the shit out of.
Wow.
I think that's worse.
Yeah, it's a different discussion, but that's very painful.
So there's nothing I can do except for you. But
Except telling your daughter that you believe in her regardless what the neighbors are saying. You believe in her regardless what the neighbors are saying. I believe in you regardless what the neighbors are perceiving you. That's their perception. My perception. Okay, but I want to get back to his thing because I think that's something.
she said she doesn't care. I'm sure she does.
Okay, the question should be in where everybody could gain. So we're going to try to, or else if it's a one-on-one. So that's the type of question that all of us have. So that's why I want to answer it.
Spinner is going on when she sees this happen.
Oh, okay, fine. So I want to answer the thing, I think, with the concept that as follows. I think that, again, I do a lot of marriage counseling, so my head goes that way. In marriage, there could be a great relationship, alles is beside it, and then for some reason your spouse in front of your family said something by the Shabbos meal and it hurt you, you got turned off, and after the meal you come home, you say, you said that, it really hurt me, you feel turned off a few days. And the other spouse feels like, why do I have to drop the whole love, the whole liebschaft, the whole excitement, it has to become numb now because I did something wrong. What happens? I think we need to go back as childhood. Most of us, I don't know my age and above, I don't know the younger ones, but when we were punished, we felt not liked by our parents. At least a lot of people feel that way. Got out of the room, you just did that, in the old days it was a patch, now it's going to the room, and whatever it is, they feel not loved. And then when they do something great, wow, you made a test, you came in with an 85 and 90, wow, Machai, it's such a nachas. The mother comes in, you say, you saw his test, you saw his bechina, amazing. So there's a love and there's disconnect and disconnect. A child is never allowed to feel that the love went away just because they did something wrong. So why do we do it? Even my little kids. He hit his younger brother. And I said, Yitzchak, very strict, Yitzchak, you need to go into your room now for 5 minutes because, explain, I love explaining, because you hit, they don't know, because you hit Mati. I love you so much. I can't wait for you to come out after the 5 minutes. But, now I need to say. But, 5 more minutes. But, you're going to be in the room for 5 minutes. When you come out, I can't wait for you to come out from there. What I'm teaching my child, what is it?
Now we're going to be here.
Yeah, exactly. We're teaching my child you can have two feelings at the same time. I could be upset at you and still love you. Sometimes in marriage, it's already late. It's never too late, but you have to work on it. I love my spouse. Our relationship is amazing, but I'm upset and hurt, very hurt, because of ABC. So we need to tell ourselves that until it becomes second nature. But really, naturally, we could do it. Was hat eins zu tun mit der andere? So, if we are able to live that way, to have the dual feeling at the same. Certain feelings can't be at the same time. But certain feelings can be together at the same time. You could be anxious and excited, right? The day before your chasana. You're both. You're nervous and you're happy, you're excited. The body reaction is the same. For nervous and excited. Yeah, we have both. I could be upset at my spouse, my child. I'm very hurt what she's doing to me, that she's walking out with a miniskirt in front of my neighbors in the ganze Bisha. Where does it take away the love? Any other question? 2 more minutes? 1 more minute? Yeah.
I think that person is ridiculous.
You have to talk a drop louder.
With the girl going 100 miles per hour,
Yeah.
just an idea I was thinking about was that you go to a mechanic
Right.
that you know,
Right.
and look what's going on, and then sometime later, passing, saying, can you get the car checked?
Right.
And then have them check it and say, wow, you're missing this piece or it's coming loose, and it's a good
Right.
thing good thing you don't let them do it too fast because it could have been a wreck.
Right. Good. Very good. Amos. Yeah.
Question. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. So, when our children tell us one thing and actually go and do something else, I feel it's because they don't trust that we're going to accept and really love them, so they're hiding from us.
Right.
How do we work on ourselves to give them that reassurance that there's nothing you can do that will make me stop loving you?
I think for a maman, for a Yiddish woman, a Yiddish mama, Tata also of that sake, is think about Hashem and you. Think about Hashem and you, your relationship. The question is, how can we work on ourselves to get to that level of to get our child to understand that we love them and accept them even though they're doing things that hurt us.
No, they say that they're doing X, Y, and Z, but
Right.
then you find out that it's A, B, and C.
They tend to do that, we know that. They tend to do that, we know that. This is it, right? We're all in the same room. We're all, right, that's a general question, very good. But I think that if we focus on our relationship with Hashem, are we perfect? Maybe you're right. I'm not perfect. So, I never think that Hashem doesn't love me. I used to. I worked it out. My childhood Rebbe didn't make me believe that. I grew older. I realized what Yiddishkeit really is. And I'm in a place where I know that I'm doing Averis. I fell through. I did something. I spoke Lashon Hara, whatever it is. Hashem loves me before, while, and after. I have to work. I have to get out of it. So if Hashem is that way, meaning to say there is such a concept, and I need to be the same way. I want Hashem to be tolerant for me. I have to be tolerant for my child. This again, the Baal Shem Tov said, Hashem tzilcha, steht in Tehillim, Hashem tzilcha yad yimenechu. Hashem is your shadow. Whatever we do in this world, Hashem imitates us. Right? Hashem does the same thing that we do. If you judge other people, Hashem's going to judge you. If you're forgiving, Hashem forgives you. If we start thinking of it that way, you say, you know what? I also am not perfect. I want Hashem to forgive me. I want Hashem not to judge me. I'm not judging you. If that works for you. Everybody works something else, but I think that could help if you're that type.
I can feel connected to Hashem and that He loves me, and it doesn't transfer over to building the trust so that my child believes in me, that I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, but you're saying two different things in one question. You're saying about building trust, and then your feeling towards your child. Isn't it two separate questions?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it that the child...
So I didn't do the right thing, right? Rabbi Yaakov Salomon, right? We teach in Eish HaTorah, a Yid answers a question with a question. I should have asked the question. What do you... I remember when I was a teenager, I used to listen to Shirim. Once he said, Rabbi Yaakov, I hope you're okay, I'm doing this. And I was there in Eish, and I remember he said, that someone came over and asked him, why do we daven 3 times a day? Right? You're about to answer him, Shachris, Menchemarev, the Karbunas, and they said, 1 minute, 1 time a day, you do understand? Is your question why we daven? No, why do we daven? Right? Yeah, you remember many years ago, I was talking about 23 years ago, 23, 24, at least, when I was 18. It's funny that it's still sticking in my head. And we have to answer questions with a question. So your question is, I hope you're capable of doing this, right?
Is it that they don't trust us and our non-judgment of them?
No, they're in the spinner. Stop making so much cheshbonos. You're making too much cheshbonos. You're being very logical. She's not so logical. Why are you wasting so much energy?
She's 28.
It doesn't matter. Again, it's not age, it's stage. No numbers.
So
She's in that stage. She's not logical. Why? You're trying to make out of it with your logic to understand your child's spinner, right? They're spinning now. You continue doing your part. The outcome is going to happen when it's supposed to happen.
And my part is just to love
Just do. You know, when you go to a car mechanic and you want to fix your car, and he's working on your car for an hour, 2 hours, and then he comes, I'm sorry, I can't fix it. Do you pay him? You don't pay him. You fix it, you get paid, you don't pay. Yeah. But with Hashem, it doesn't work that way. It's the opposite. Hashem pays us according to the amount of work we do, not our accomplishments. Hashem pays us, kefim tzara agra. There's many different chazal on this. That Hashem pays us according to our avodah. Hashem doesn't look, this guy has an amazing child. Wow, a die in the roof. He gets much boschad than your child is 28 and didn't get anywhere yet. It doesn't go that way. The opposite. According to the tsar, kefim tzara agra, according to the tsar and the pain and the koiches you put into this kid, you know what? Hashem judges so different. He pays us for the work, not for the results. We're not looking for results. This is an extra thing that I threw in at the end that hopefully Metz Hashem will all see. But that's not what we're working for.
So I'm just getting a little stuck on this part with explaining the reasons. If they're not logical, let's say you tell them you want them home at a certain time because of a certain reason. They'll find, sometimes I feel like less is more. Sometimes.
Of course you have to know when to explain. After you ask questions and you're curious and they tell you, why do you need to come home late? What happens? Do you understand what it's doing to me? Do you understand? Start questions. And then only if they're ready to listen, you could explain. Obviously, you're not going to explain before they're ready to listen. I'm saying when you get to that moment, those few windows.
And do you mean younger children? Because I feel like once you start this approach of explaining, then the kids expect.
Okay, there's a difference between explaining, is a vereenveren. What is vereenveren in English? And huh? No. There's a difference between explaining and defending yourself. You're right. You don't have to defend yourself and explain, like you're hearing your child is there. No, you're still hearing your child is here. But you're allowed to explain. Du sich vereinfachen, make mas bezahn. Jeder sucht sich es geht. You never vereinfachen yourself. Never, go into, but explaining. I want to explain, just throw in it. You don't have to say, I want to make a whole explanation. Be home on time. It's easier for me. I'm worried for you. That means explaining. Nothing more than that. It's just... True that, but continue saying it. We know the bekannte Wort, alle v'vecho, right? We say, v'haftas Hashem alakecha b'chal levavcho. You should take in Hashem, alle v'vecho, on your heart. So the Sfurim ask, why does it say bil v'vecho? Rashi fragt, why does it say bil v'vecho, in your heart? What do you mean on your heart? Because we constantly work on ourselves, on minna and betuchen and avodas Hashem, but our heart is not always open. So you shouldn't do it. Continue, but one day your heart is going to open up, everything's going to fall in. Every single statement that we told our kids comes in. It seeps in. The moment the heart is going to open, every explanation you did, it's all going to happen. We should really bring for Shabbos. I was telling Avi, we should bring maybe on a Matzah Shabbos on a Sunday morning, all the kids that Baruch Hashem called out of it. They should come here, and they should be standing here. I'll be sitting there together with you, and they should tell us. I think that would be the most effective. And they're going to tell you, it's how much, I had a boy from Toronto, that my wife's from Toronto, so she knows someone, whatever, they sent their child to live by me, not now, a couple of years ago, many years ago. This boy was a real kid, he still had his pious, but, I gave him frankfurters to eat at night, and he dafka went to the fridge and drinking milk, I didn't say a word, he wanted me to say. He went down, everything. He went through the whole, his mother used to call me once a week for mamashi, drugs, everything. He's now a chassidish man of Barpag with Shtreimel. He always tells me, every single thing you told me then, when I was 15 years old in your house, I still remember. We could try to get him to call him, and many hundreds. Baruch Hashem, we should know that there is a certain percentage. They should come and tell you how much every single time you explained something, you invested something, they remember.
So the explanation is for them to understand that you love
To give you a window to put a pause button on that spin for a few seconds. And then you let go, it continues spinning. Okay.
You're not going to look at it, well, you're worried about yourself and that's why you want me home first.
No, that for sure not. No, I'm worried for you. All right, shkoich everybody. See this there.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.